KUAM TV8, first on Guam. KUAM News headlines are presented by Calvo's Insurance, protecting Micronesia for 85 years. Matson, celebrating 25 years of commitment to Guam, Micronesia, and the CNMI. Cars Plus, Guam's leader in sustainability and electric vehicles. Learn more at carsplusguam.com. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Ahead on KUAM News Primetime, the two government corruption cases go before a Superior Court judge. The defendants, high-ranking GovGuam officials, make their first court appearance.
Facing a federal indictment for allegedly selling meth, a drug case is unsealed in the district court. I'm Julian Hernandez with the report.
And a delay was imminent. The Guam Department of Education agreeing to push back the start day for public school students, considering lingering issues at the campuses.
Hafa and good evening. Welcome to KUAM News Primetime. I'm Nick Delgado.
And I'm Destiny Cruz. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day.
We're calling it political prosecution. The defense attorney for two government of Guam officials indicted in separate alleged government corruption cases, saying that as the defendants appeared in Superior Court.
5 of the 7 GovGuam officials in the spotlight each denied the allegations filed against them. So far, mum's the word, as those who showed up in the courtroom today declined comment while the case is underway.
Here's more from the courtroom. Department of Public Health Director Arthur San Agustin is charged with 5 counts of tampering with public records, obstructing governmental functions, and official misconduct, each with a special allegation of crimes against the community.
We enter a plea of not guilty.
Chief Environmental Health Officer Masatomo Nadeau is charged with obstructing governmental functions and official misconduct with a special allegation of crimes against the community.
We enter a plea of not guilty.
The pair are among 2 government corruption cases handed down in the Superior Court of Guam. Both accused of allegedly approving health inspection reports prosecutors contend never happened at Simon Sanchez, George Washington, and Southern high schools. San Agustin and Nadeau appearing before Magistrate Judge Benjamin Sison today for arraignment. Prosecutors wanted the duo to have no contact while the case is underway, but the court ruled against it following arguments by defense. San Agustin's defense attorney Jay Arreola calling out Attorney General Doug Moylan both inside and outside of the courtroom.
So what can you say after coming out of today's arraignment?
On behalf of ART, we thank the judge for hearing us out and providing reasonable conditions on his release. As we indicated to the court, there's a serious problem when the Attorney General takes it upon himself to indict government officials in the course of their work. I use the word hamstring. The AG's office is hamstringing the government of Guam and making it very difficult. I mean, how do you expect these guys to do their jobs, inspect the schools, when you're telling them you can't communicate, you can't have any contact? It's just ridiculous. The charges themselves are specious, as I said. Once these things are revealed for what they are, we intend to essentially litigate this case and allow Art to return to his position. We think after the evidence and everything is fully reviewed, Art will be acquitted of any charges, if not, have him dismissed outright.
Clearly, Art, you and Tom Nadeau are still on the job, still doing, and there's a lot of work to do. The school's in crisis mode. How is this case, if at all, impacting those efforts?
Because of the nature of the case, I've advised Art not to provide any comments, just to do his job, do the best he can. And again, we don't want to have to, face scrutiny or whatever over, what he has to do versus these charges. It just emphasizes the political. Of course. The political nature when you have politicians clamoring about government corruptions and things like that. This case is about pressing a button that sends out sanitary permits. June 30th, thousands of sanitary permits are sent out June 30th. Does the law require public health to inspect every premise before June 30th? No. Right. No, it doesn't. So why is he charged with a crime for not inspecting Simon Sanchez and GW. And the law doesn't require it. It's as simple as that.
And that's why
He's made a crime where none exists.
And you pleaded not guilty here today. That's evident. We'll see how it moves
He is
forward.
not guilty, and we even doubt that there's even a crime.
Politics aside, Jay, and I'm sure that the public, the stakeholders of the Guam Department of Education want to know with the safety of the schools, are the kids' schools safe?
The Department of Public Health and the Governor's Office and the Department of Public Works and the Guam Department of Education and the chairman of the Legislative Committee on Education and the Speaker of the Legislature and their majority over there will make sure everything's taken care of because they know it all.
St. Augustine and Nadeau, who both remain on the job and have no intention of stepping down, asserted their speedy trial rights. Also showing up to court today in a separate government corruption case, Guam Regional Transit Authority Board Chair Alejo Sablan, former GRTA certifying officer Jennifer Bedar Cruz, and GRTA board members Inilahan Mayor Anthony Chargloff and Hagat Mayor Kevin Sasuiko. Prosecutors alleging the group were involved in a scheme to put Richard Ibanez, former interim executive manager of GRTA, in the position he was never qualified to fill. Ibanez did not appear in court today. The charges include theft by deception, conspiracy for misapplications of entrusted funds, misapplication of entrusted funds, and official misconduct, along with special allegations of crimes against the community. Sablan, Chargloff, and Sasuiko pleaded not guilty. Cruz, who is also charged with tampering with public records, and Ibanez are scheduled back in court on August 9th to answer to the charges. Mayor Sasuiko's defense attorney Peter Santos tells KUAM the case is really an HR issue, not a theft in any sense of the word. It's not like Ibanez was getting paid and not showing up to work, such a ridiculous and inappropriate charge. Attorney Areola, who represents Sablan in this case, also had this to say.
These people are public servants. We have two mayors. We have a retired Government of Guam chairman, Government of Guam official chairman of the board, and plus the other employees of the agency, all in the guise of headlines, so-called government corruption. This is not a government corruption case at all. There's barely a crime. As I've argued, the board appointed someone interim, temporary manager. That says it all.
And that man at the center of it all, he wasn't even at today's hearing.
I believe the court has continued his hearing for him to be present.
Okay. Anything you want to say, or I know that you've already pleaded not guilty for today's arraignment, but anything with regard to the accusations being made of how he wasn't qualified, and so that's how these charges are being prosecuted?
Again, we ask and remind everybody, let the system take its course. Just because the toughest AG on crime says that there's government corruption doesn't necessarily make it so. People of Guam have some short-term memories. I remember when this Attorney General was the first elected Attorney General and went indicting dozens of government officials, the vast majority of which were acquitted, dismissed, and expunged. I know because I represented many of them. And so here we go again. Many years later.
Pretty confident then, Jay, that bringing up what happened decades ago, that you may just get the same acquittals in this case.
Sure. And back then, it's the same crimes that he's alleging. Misappropriation of government funds. It's the only crime he can think of. Any government official who signs a check, who prints a document, signs a document, you're guilty of misappropriation of government funds because you spent money on this manager. That's what he's saying. You stole money and gave it to this manager temporarily and stole money. There's no crime there. Mm-hmm. There's no crime there. And so for all his pontifications that I'm going tough on crime and this administration better watch out, well, this Attorney General better watch out because people's lives are at stake. And if we have to rely on the courts to strike his indictments and to sanction him for not doing his job, then that's what we'll have to do.
Sounds like
and that's what the defense ends up doing. That's what we did 20 years ago, and that's what the defense bar will do once again. When it comes to this type of prosecution, political prosecution, and let's make no doubt about it, this is a political prosecution. People have higher aspirations. That's what this is about, higher political aspirations. And we'll see it for the next 2-3 years. And so 3 or 4 years. And so here we go, and we look forward to the justice system rendering real justice.
KUAM also reached out to AG Doug Moylan for comment.
A drug defendant who is no stranger to local authorities now has a federal indictment handed down against him.
The case just made public in the District Court of Guam. KUM's Julian Hernandez joins us in studio with the details.
Federal prosecutors allege he was selling meth on the island. The indictment coming down a week ago in the District Court of Guam and only made public. 29-year-old Dominic Joshua Contreras Cruz is facing federal charges of distribution of methamphetamine hydrochloride. The Fed's investigation going back to October of last year. That's when he was allegedly pushing the drugs on our streets. Details of the case, including how much drugs are being linked to Cruz, have not yet been made public. Prosecutors also tagged on a notice of forfeiture to the indictment. Court documents stating that if Cruz isn't convicted, that he would have to give up all property he has in connection to the drug case. An arrest warrant was executed for Cruz on Monday. Just yesterday, he denied the allegations and pleaded not guilty to the drug distribution charge before Magistrate Judge Michael Bordalio in the District Court. He was allowed to remain out of prison and is set to have his day in court on September 28th. That's when the jury trial is set to begin. Now, Cruz was just arrested last month in June, facing charges in the Superior Court for theft by receiving. As we reported, the alleged victims in the local case told police their phones went missing while they were at the beach. Court documents state they used the Find My iPhone app. The phones led them to the home in Dedido, where Cruz was spotted. Cruz allegedly told officers a man gave him the items at the beach. Separately, in 2021, Cruz was arrested on charges of possession of a Schedule II controlled substance after being caught with meth, marijuana, and glass pipes during a traffic stop in Dedido. Court records show, however, he had been acquitted after the drug case went to trial. A Superior Court judge ruling local prosecutors failed to establish his identity and that he had drugs in his possession beyond a reasonable doubt. Again, an unsealed indictment in federal court charges Cruz with distributing meth. He is scheduled to appear back in court on September 18th, where the chief judge will find out if all parties are still ready to go to trial.
Thanks, Jules. A decision finally coming out of the Guam Department of Education on school reopenings after weeks of uncertainty.
GDOE announcing the start of the school year is pushed back by 2 weeks. But will the temporary halt by the department enough time to comply with public law?
It was an ambitious goal for the Guam Department of Education, sticking to its target date of August 9th to reopen schools. But with the clock running faster than schools could get inspected by public health and pass in time to open for in-person instruction, combined with no political resolve and overwhelming pushback on online learning from the community, it was only a matter of time before education officials had to face the possibility of not being able to start by that date. GDOE Superintendent Dr. Kenneth Swanson officially delaying the school year until August 23rd, a 10-day window for more schools to hopefully open up.
The political process is not yet able to provide any answers to how we are to open and remain within the law. The Attorney General sees online learning as a violation of the Organic Act. We cannot open without sanitation permits. What options are most desirable? I'm recommending delaying the opening of school till August 23rd.
Swanson adding the delay's intent is to avoid online learning. This as even the department's current capacity to do double sessions is limited, with only Inarajan Elementary and Maritzo Elementary passing inspections with a C grade so far.
The actual format of instruction and face-to-face and how it will look is being developed as we go along school by school. This is not the eventuality that we want, but it's the situation that we have.
But efforts to get campuses inspected quicker are seemingly underway. As GDOE says, public health is now staffed by 12 inspectors to tackle 3 schools weekly. Antalan Middle starting the process earlier this week. Swanson also sharing his plans to find a middle ground with government officials during a meeting with the Guam Education Board.
I propose asking the Speaker of Public Health to grant conditional permission to open while the remainder of our inspections are conducted. This will allow us to continue to make repairs while coming into compliance.
The GDOE superintendent also addressing how the delay will impact teachers. Swanson assuring they will not lose pay during the interim, but are slated to engage in professional development. Still, some on the GEB questioning how this training will happen if only employees that are to help fix schools to address inspections are allowed on campus due to expired sanitary permits. GEB member Dr. Ron McNinch asking what that permit has to do with a school teacher at a building.
We're having to grasp and grapple with some really bad laws in this community. And these laws are screwed up. And to be blunt, we don't make the laws. And our administrators, don't make the laws. But we're hobbled by silly rules, it sounds like. I don't know what else to call it. And I'm a specialist in public administration. This has to be some of the worst bureaucracy I've ever seen generated out of a law. I'm talking about really bad bureaucracy.
But Swanson says he will figure out something as training is essential. GEB Chair Dr. Mary Okada even suggesting using schools that already passed inspection for the development. Meanwhile, GEB's Angel Sablon circling the conversation back to the delay. He hopes it won't be in vain.
My only concern is if we're only moving it from the 9th to the 23rd and we're not going to get additional schools to be open, there's no reason to move it. But if you think that if you delay it those 10 days and you're going to get 5, 10 more schools open, then that's a decision that at least many more parents will be happy.
But a release coming out of Adelup today says that public health is receiving conflicting guidance from Guam DOE on which schools are ready for inspections. This is 3 teams were prepared to inspect the different schools on July 24th. The governor adding DPHSS plans to inspect schools based on the guidance from Guam DOE. The release further doubling down on the administration's opinion that a solution to Public Law 37-4, which they say paralyzes schools from reopening, lies within the legislature.
A new Guam law that allows private religious schools to convert to publicly funded charter schools now drawing national attention. A watchdog group called the Freedom from Religion Foundation is calling out the legislature for Monday's veto override.
It argues that the law is unconstitutional and makes Guam just the second jurisdiction in the nation to allow for this. But local attorney Mike Phillips, who represents a charter school applicant, disputes the group's contention. Nestor Lecanto reports.
Chris Live is an attorney for the Freedom from Religion Foundation, which advocates for the separation of church and state. The group religiously monitors, if you will, developments where it believes infringements arise. This now includes recent Guam law to allow private religious schools to become publicly funded charter schools.
When I first saw that the governor had vetoed the bill, that was what first kind of caught our attention. And so we were looking at it then. And then while we actually had intended to rebut the Attorney General's opinion, which said that it was legal, but before we were able to get that out, the legislator had overridden the veto. And so now we are just denouncing that decision and noting that the governor was correct in her veto, in her letter, and the reason why she vetoed that it is unconstitutional to require taxpayers to fund religious schools.
He argues that the charter schools become state actors by taking on the role a public school would fill and are subject to the constitutional requirements of the separation of church and state.
We have very strong religious freedom rights here in this country, and the Establishment Clause that kind of goes along with that, because you can't exercise your religious freedom rights if the government is able to impose a particular religion upon you. So part of that is making sure that our public schools are neutral. As state actors, they're not able to endorse, they're not able to promote a certain religion. They must be neutral with regard to religion.
But local attorney Mike Phillips says that may have been true with previous Supreme Court holdings, but not with the current one. He says the applicable ruling is strictly about non-discrimination.
The government doesn't have to create charter schools, but when you do and you allow others to run it, then you've got to allow everybody. You can't discriminate against people because they're religious. The current court has said, well, if you allow others to run charter schools, then you've got to allow religious people to run charter schools. You cannot discriminate against people, not just because of their religion, but because they're religious. It's the same thing.
We're not gonna hide the fact that clearly the Supreme Court is very extremist right now. They've taken a very extremist position on religious freedom, and we feel stepped over the line and completely erased the Establishment Clause, which was important in our founding. But even within the steps that the Supreme Court has taken, many of which we disagree with, they've not gone this far.
You know, it's well thought out because they didn't say religious people are entitled to a charter school. That's not what it holds. It holds that if government chooses to have charter schools and chooses to have private organizations run them, then when you're picking between private organizations or school, you can't discriminate against one or the other because they happen to be religious. And that's it.
The Freedom from Religion Foundation has not ruled out challenging the Guam law, but is focused right now on a similar Oklahoma law. Phillips is skeptical the High Court will hear it.
It really is, Nestor, you can quote me on this. This is the special interest group that other people that have special interests, political interests, that are dissatisfied with a decision, go out and get.
Nestor Lecanto, KUAM News.
Thanks, Ness. Well, the governor has picked a new site for the proposed billion-dollar medical campus.
After the highly controversial and much debated proposal to build at Eagles Field was dropped, she's now eyeing some 100 acres in Manilao, Barrigada. The revelation came during a special meeting today at the Ancestral Lands Commission. Here's Executive Director John Birch.
The initial primary location was at the Eagles Field area. Well, as it turns out, our property here from Ancestral Lands is the second choice. And it's the property located right across, pretty much close to, almost right across from their Wine Rock Products. There are easements to the property. It's centrally located. It's near utilities, water and power. It's not on the property, but very near it. So the cost of installing that will not be too costly.
Director Birch says the property would be purchased from the GLUC at market value. He says GITA has already prepared a request for proposals for an appraisal of the land. Birch says the governor made the request to him verbally yesterday, and his legal counsel is preparing a bill that will be sent to the legislature.
Back in local court, a man accused of molesting several children denied his request to delay trial in the Superior Court of Guam.
Defendant Edward Sicat is now scheduled back in court for trial next month. Judge Dana Gutierrez denied his request, stating a delay without a set trial date would subject the alleged victims to additional anxiety and stress. Sicat faces multiple counts of first, second, third, and fourth degree criminal sexual conduct. The case involved at least 4 children who prosecutors allege he molested between 2016 and 2019. Trial is now set to begin on August 21st.
28-year-old Pedro Ada II was arrested Tuesday, allegedly assaulting a woman known to him. Court documents stating Guam police responded to Tamuning home, where the victim said Ada allegedly hit her in the face during an argument the night before. Officers noticing dried blood around her nostrils and scratch marks on her neck and chest. The victim detailing to police that Ada allegedly dragged her and tried to get her into a room. According to the witness, she could hear the victim asking for help and heard the sound of something being dragged. During a pat-down, officers found a modified glass pipe with suspected meth residue in one of Ada's pockets. He denied it was his and claimed he found it on the ground. A field test conducted came back positive for meth. Ada was booked and he's being held at the Department of Corrections.
A man is arrested after being caught with meth while driving a stolen car. 38-year-old Joel Santiago is charged with theft by receiving stolen property and possession of a Schedule II controlled substance. Court documents state police pulled over a car for not having registered plates. During a search, officers found a glass pipe with meth. Authorities noting the car was reported stolen on May 29th. Santiago allegedly admitted he knew the car was stolen and that it had been using for weeks.
We're now learning that 8 search warrants were issued in the classified documents case against former President Donald Trump. We knew about one case because it was carried out by Trump's estate at Mar-a-Lago last year, and Trump announced it on his social media website. But we're learning from unsealed court motions that there were 7 other search warrants.
It doesn't mean FBI agents searched 7 other locations. They could have been from other parts of the Mar-a-Lago property, phones and computers. Prosecutors said they have not disclosed the content sought by those search warrants because they say it should remain secret to prevent sensitive information from becoming public. Trump's trial on charges of mishandling classified documents is set for May of next year.
Well, we're going to take a quick break.
That's right. Keep it here to KUAM, your leader in local news.
Watch KUAM TV 8 live on Peacock. Check out our live channel NBC shows, live sports original programming, movies, plus so much more. Visit peacocktv.com/local or download the app and subscribe today.
I'm checking my vital signs, on my battle lines, going to war again. Feeling the rhythm inside of my chest, all I need is just a pen. I know I was born for this. I know I was born for this. I believe we can write our story. I believe we can be an army. We are the warriors who learn to love the pain. We come from different places, but have the same name. Cause we were born for this. We were born for this. We are the broken ones who chose to spark a flame. Watch as our fire rages, our hearts are never tame. Cause we were born for this. We were born for this.
Mickey D's McCrispy, formerly known as the Crispy Chicken Sandwich, now has some respect on his name. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Real talk. The Spicy Crispy Chicken Sandwich should have been named Spicy McCrispy from jump. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Don't need a work break, keep the smile on your face. The moments you can't replace, and I'll be around. Whoa. You can count on me. You can count on me for life.
Wherever life takes you, we're always here for you. Calvo's Insurance. Count on us for life.
At Bank of Hawaii, we believe that part of living your happy is feeling safe and secure. It also means knowing your hard-earned money will be there when you need it. That's why Bank of Hawaii is proud to be a bank people have trusted with their money for 125 years. And we're the only local bank ranked one of America's most trustworthy companies by Newsweek 2 years in a row. So you can rest easy knowing your money's safe. Bank of Hawaii, put your trust in our strength.
Welcome back to Primetime. Senators considering a bill to amend the criminal compensation statutes and provide further protection for victims of violent crimes. The measure by Speaker Therese Terlahi seeks to protect the confidentiality of victims. It would also add felony vehicular homicide and hit and run incidents to the list of crimes in which victims can be compensated.
There doesn't have to be a case filed against the person who committed the crime, and there doesn't have to be a decision in any case against anyone for you to receive compensation as a victim. So I think that's very significant, and I'm proud of Guam for that, and that we've been able to get federal funds for this program to continue it. So I want to thank Mike Crisostomo, who headed this commission for many years when it was revitalizing. Attorney General Elizabeth Barrett Anderson was the AG who revitalized this commission and now serves as its chairperson.
The bill was advanced to the third reading file for later voting. Over in the CNMI, the Commonwealth Ports Authority joined the Saipan Chamber of Commerce and Tinian leadership in Washington, D.C. to kick on the doors of federal officials amid the island's fiscal crisis. CPA Board Chair Kimberlyn King-Hines told KUAM they met with Pentagon officials, Federal Aviation Administration leaders, the Interior, and congressional officials. CPA's advocacy for operational funds in D.C. comes as Governor Arnold Palacios pivots away from the China tourism market, which made up 50% of visitors pre-COVID due to national security concerns. CPA already raised rates for terminal rentals and terminal landing fees amid growing financial costs.
The main message that I wanted to get across to everybody is that the growing geopolitical tension in the region is having a very real impact on the CNMI's economy. And these things have a cascading effect on the lives of everybody who lives out here. And if we don't address this situation sooner rather than later, then we're all going to be in a world of hurt.
King-Hines adding that national security should also involve island's economic stability. The cash-strapped CPA has sought DoD support for up to $12 million in supplemental funding through the National Defense Authorization Act budget.
Over in the CNMI, more of Governor Arnold Palacios' appointments have been confirmed by the Senate. Juan Pua was sworn in as the new commissioner of the Department of Fire and Emergency Medical Services. He's one of the last major cabinet appointments 7 months into the Palacios-Apating administration.
Joining him on Capitol Hill were Dana Calvo and Henry Hofschneider, who were respectively sworn in to serve on the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority Board and the Public Lands Advisory Board. Also up in the CNMI, the American Memorial Park and the Talaza Club are casting a wide net in their effort to teach the next generation, how to fish.
That's right. Regional correspondent Tomas Manglotnia caught this next story on Saipan. Here's more.
David Cabrera and Jeremiah Beneventi are teaching the next generation how to fish.
The kids always start out a little tentative and apprehensive, but once they get going, once they get the confidence of knowing that it can be done, by the second day you see the enthusiasm and the excitement in their face to want to get right back into the water and try to catch some fish.
It's American Memorial Park's second year of casting the Let's Go Fishing summer program on Saipan. 10 to 15-year-old kids learn how to rod and reel and talaza. They're the youngest members of the Talaza Club, which also happens to be the name of the nonprofit organization of local fishermen leading the clinic.
The Talaza Club is a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to reinvigorate traditional fishing methods as well as foster informed ocean stewards here in the Marianas.
Stewardship is at the center of their teaching. They spend the morning educating students about best practices before they head into the water.
We're trying to perpetuate the skill, the craft of using the talaza, but we're doing it in a way that is establishing some fundamental sustainable fishing practices with our students. Me of talajeros and talajeras, but we don't teach them how to do it responsibly and doing ourselves any favors here in the Marianas.
The program is funded through a grant from the National Park Foundation and involves the Junior Ranger program and youth interns.
Really important to start them young because they're already thinking about all these things and asking questions about their environment and conservation, and that's really our goal here at the park, is to promote conservation and sustainable fishing and then teach the youth about all the fun things that they can do here at the park and on our islands. So a lot of them, this is their first time fishing. It's their first time being out in the ocean, learning about the different fish that we have on our islands, what's dangerous, what we can eat, what we can't eat, how to practice sustainable fishing practices too.
Tomas Manglotnia, KUAM News, Saipan.
Last week, a new liberation tradition continued. For the second year in a row, a reunion of Guam Power Authority retirees was held on July 22nd up at John Munoz's ranch in the NCS area of Dededo.
Dozens of Guamanians who made a career out of serving the public trust for the island's power agency gathered for food, fun, laughter, and endless memories.
Fun times there.
Definitely. And this year, new faces from GPA's various divisions joined the fun, including former Public Information Officer Art Perez. Congrats to our friends at GPA for another amazing time, and happy reunion.
The Society for Human Resources Management is a national organization who oversees the understanding, role, and expansion of the HR profession. And the Guam chapter of SHRM's annual conference is always a chance to learn, to share, to network and innovate, and to get better.
We spoke with some of the leadership about the essential aspect of any organization in any sector and why you can't afford to miss their conference on August 19. Once again, here's Jason Salas.
So, one of the things that SHRM has tried to do in our programming is focusing on business acumen for our HR professionals. When we talk about being united as an HR, as a profession, we know how important it is to lean on each other during times of pandemic and now with the typhoon, and even just navigating through employment law. So one of the other segments that we're excited to bring to the table is a segment asking CEOs specifically, what do they want their HR professionals to know, so that we can arm them with the kind of programming, the kind of training, the kind of resources that they're going to need to be successful. So we're inviting 5 local CEOs to talk to us about what they've done. These are thought-provoking. They've actually empowered their HR department to be able to give them the resources, to support them in whatever way they need to be able to manage through this rapidly changing business environment.
I'm dying to know, Yoli, who those 5 CEOs are. Can you give us a hint?
Sure. So we're starting with Guachin Cook from the Bank of Guam.
Sure.
We have Kathy Killo from Payless. We also have Rod Boss from Docomo Pacific. We're also including Mr. Alex Yap from AK. And he represents AK Guam, Saipan, and Morocco Equipment. We also have Mr. Ben Ferguson from TIC. So we tried to do different industries, different sizes, so we can get their unique perspective and actually pick their brains on what they did during all of these challenges. We want to talk about strategy. We want to talk about compensation and benefit strategies on how they dealt with, this labor shortage and what did they do to inspire people to stay or to attract them into their workforce, knowing how challenging it is.
That is a great lineup. Congratulations.
Yeah. We're really excited about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Vince, I would probably dare say that I know a lot of like the HR people that I've been privileged to talk to, like especially like in the last last 3 months since Typhoon Mawar came and left, was that they said a lot of people were like, oh God, we've got all this work now, and GHRA is possibly saying that there may be at least a temporary work stoppage because the hospitality industry was expected to take a hit. But a lot of people in HR were saying what we learned during the pandemic years was that now we have a template or a framework that we can build upon. And, this allows us to actually get through these times much more efficiently than possibly we did like 4 years ago when this was all completely new. And, to be honest, a lot of people were just trying to make stuff up and what would be most appropriate for their business. But now, people feel that they have a really firm grasp on how to handle these kind of crises. Crises? Yeah, crises.
Crisis.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think the learning curve was extremely steep in 2021. And I think our firm alone was so busy redrafting policies and procedures to address OSHA, to address accommodations, whether it was religious or whether it was medical with regard to vaccinations, whether it was remote work, how do you deal with policies on how to monitor remote workers. So the HR profession in the last probably 3 years has transformed tremendously, and they were sort of pushed into the corner and said, you have to do this, right? And so it was extremely busy, not only trying to sort of navigate the labor pool and the labor force issues, but you also had to address every other aspect of human resources, as recruitment, retention, compensation, benefits, because people were stealing employees from each other. We all know that. I mean, we've seen a big exodus of individuals leaving Guam because the opportunities, not only from employers on Guam, but from employers off the island. We saw ads in the newspapers for several businesses in the United States paying bonuses to come over, signing bonuses, and they would pay for moving expenses and travel expenses. How does someone on Guam compete with that? We have a very different labor market here, and yet we're still now competing with California, with New Mexico, with Arizona, Washington. So having to deal with that, and that's why I think Yoli's proposal for the CEOs was a very good idea because they had to deal with that.
So you only maybe as Guam's organizations have gotten larger, the world's gotten smaller at the same time. Would you agree?
Absolutely. We are no longer just competing locally, we're competing nationally. And, businesses in the States are willing to pay for certain things that in the past was not even available to us.
Now for a look at your world at home.
Here's a view captured of Beach Road on Saipan. This view plus more tomorrow music like this streaming right now on Isla Digital Radio.
New chicken nuggets from KFC? Everybody's gonna want these. Let's eat these inside.
Try new Kentucky Fried Chicken Nuggets. You've never had nuggets like these.
Honey, do you want some milk?
Do you ever wonder how your favorite products make their way into your local stores? Most arrive on state-of-the-art Matson vessels that transport containers of food, household items, equipment, and supplies into the islands every week. Because we know that you depend on us, we work closely with our partners to ensure that our shipments arrive on time, all the time, so you can find your favorite products when you need them. We transport the region's most precious cargo that supports successful businesses and promotes a better quality of life for our families. Matson is proud to have been the hometown shipping carrier for Guam, the CNMI, and Micronesia for the past 25 years, and you can count on us to be here for generations to come.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
Do you ever just sit and think, that's so hot?
Need something spicy?
Yes.
You've reached the Volcano Menu hotline. This is Paris, expert on what's hot. How may I turn up the heat for you today? Don't know what to make for dinner? Babe, just order a volcano taco from Taco Bell. I'm literally eating one right now. Yes. You're welcome for calling. Bye.
I'm the hot one.
Need even more spice? The Volcano Menu is back at Taco Bell.
Welcome to KUAM Sports. We're going to check in with our partners at Clutch Guam.
That's right, we sure are. Tonight we are also testing our b-ball skills. KUAM kid Zaraya Sablan is joining us to give us an idea of how it's done and to judge who did it the best. Okay, while we practice a little bit, look at that. Show us a little bit more. Oh yeah, we're going to practice.
We need practice.
Here's the final score.
Thanks to our partners at Clutch Guam. Destiny, she's been getting her practice on here. You ready?
Zaraya, am I doing better?
Yeah, you're doing better.
Whoa, you're doing something extra right there.
I know,
okay,
I really am.
That's Des's
Okay, come on, Nikki. You got this. Oh, we're basketball players.
So?
The winner is...
Dun, 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 dun. That was a drum roll.
Her.
Me? Oh my god. Thank you, Zaraya. Okay, I just have to say, I was doing this with nails. So is that why you chose me?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's harder for girls to do it.
Ooh, okay. Well, thank you so much, Zaraya.
I was never going to win that one. Thanks, Rai.
Thank you so much. All right, so let's head back to the pool where the water may be fine, but the action is intense as Team Guam competes in the Aquatic World Championships in Japan.
We continue our profiles of our 671 team. Here's Jason Salas.
Meet swim sprinter Mia Lee, the torpedo from Tamuning. She's really good at what she does. And like the other swimmers representing our island, she's ready, eager, and excited for the challenge of taking on, well, the world at the World Aquatics Championships in Fukuoka, Japan. Because she knows our little island that she represents has a lot of pride and swimming tradition, and Team Guam is bringing their A game.
Well, it's an honor just to be able to represent my island and the community that's raised me. It's an honor to represent my friends and my family, the people who have helped build me up to get to this point. There's no other word other than honor.
Mia wastes no time describing what she feels when the Great Seal of Guam flies above the pool, knowing she's been entrusted to compete for 671. She has respect for her opponents, supreme confidence in the training for herself and that of her teammates, and she always spreads the Hafaday spirit.
Pride, honestly, it's not a lot of people know much about our island, so when the flag's being flown and the anthem's being played, it's awesome because sometimes it feels like we're just this tiny speck in the Pacific, but when our flag's being flown, it's like we're bigger than that.
Now, pre-race, Mia does strategize, but once she hits the water, it's all reaction and instinct.
I try my best to be as focused as possible. And with events like these, I've swam them before. So most of the stuff is just muscle memory. So the things that I think about are things that I've recently been working on with my coach, like just the very little details, like the turns, the starts, the breathing, though just the very little things, because I swim sprints and there's very little room for error. So you have to take everything into account.
Mia also shares how applying cross-discipline competition from other sports has added to her swim game.
Well, this year I played soccer for my school, and I've been able to take away, the feeling of the team environment. Swimming is such an individual sport, and it's really easy to just be like, me, focus on me, that's it. But just going into a team atmosphere, it's a different vibe.
Now, despite her young age, Mia's a veteran racer, and she mentors young swimmers too. Still, she does have her heroes on USA Swimming, but her range allows her to appreciate and emulate the world's best.
People like Katie Ledecky, she broke a world record at 15, and right now she's around 27, I think, and she's still at the top. And of course, there's swimmers who aren't from the US that are pretty awesome because they've earned their country's first, Olympic medals, like Siobhan Haughey from Hong Kong, and also Chad Leclos from South Africa, who dethroned Michael Phelps. And everybody was like, Michael Phelps is the king, nobody can top him. And then he just came and took the gold.
Now, burning hundreds of calories a day in sprints, as you tend to do, she's got a pretty healthy appetite. So, what's Miss Mia's go-to fuel? And does this island girl enjoy pica?
I really like chips and unhealthy chips, and I haven't been eating that for a while.
What kind of chips? Like Takis or Flaming Hot Cheetos?
Oh yeah, like the hot ones, the ones that kind of hurt.
So, in Fukuoka, this sports ambassador has gold on her mind, but Guam's best interests always in her heart.
Just our culture, and we'd be able to bring that, and our flag, and yeah.
And make sure to stream all the action from the Fukuoka 2023 World Aquatics Championships on NBCSports.com and Peacock.
Good luck out there, Team Guam. All right, now let's roll that video of our team here also keeping a close watch on the Aquatic World Championships in Japan. Here's some of us today, and you can join the fun too anytime on any device on Peacock.
Yeah, we here watching live today as Maya Bollinger competed in the sprints, and loud screaming we had going in the office around midday today. That was us. Our heads pretty much chopped off, but also giving off so much pride for our athletes. And you know what? It was pretty awesome. You can watch too, so jump on Peacock TV and catch all the heats and cheer on our Team Guam athletes. Let's celebrate now the class of 2023.
Tonight we introduce you to the valedictorian and salutatorian from Harvest Christian Academy.
Congratulations, class of 2023, presented by the University of Guam.
Hi, I'm Mayjoy Balagtis. I attend Harvest Christian Academy in Barrigada, and I am the valedictorian of the graduating class of 2023. Some of the highlights of my high school career is definitely senior trip, because that was fun and we were the first class to do it after COVID. For tennis, my tennis team won championships during my freshman, sophomore, and senior year. And during my senior year, I went to Malaysia to represent Guam in a karate tournament. A teacher that made a difference in my life is Miss Hansel. She was my homeroom teacher and also my English teacher during 8th grade. And although that wasn't really in high school, since then she's still been in my life because she was also the tennis coach, and just doing things around the island I would see her a lot. And she became more than a teacher, she became a friend to me, and we even had little jokes that we shared each time we saw each other. After high school, I plan to attend Oregon Institute of Technology and major in geomatics engineering, focus in surveying. After I graduate from college, I will plan to return to Guam and work at my parents' business called Guam Surveyors LLC, where I then will gain experience to eventually become a principal land surveyor of Guam Surveyor LLC. My message to the underclassmen is to, yes, work hard, but don't forget to have fun.
Hi, my name is Erica Rim. I attend Harvest Christian Academy of Barrigada, and I'm the salutatorian of the graduating class of 2023. Some of my highlights of my high school career is becoming the founder of my own book club and also interning at various medical clinics and hospitals for volunteer hours. A high school teacher or mentor that made a difference in my life is Dr. Jania Menglonia. She is my mentor who showed me around the medical landscape of Guam and introduced me to shadowing and interning opportunities, and I'm very grateful for her help in discovering my passion for medicine. My plans after high school are attending UCLA and majoring in biochemistry, and my ultimate dream is to become a dermatologist. My message to the underclassmen is to never be afraid of making failures and to always try to become the better person, even if that means making sacrifices or admitting that you're wrong.
Congratulations, class of 2023, presented by the University of Guam.
We'll be right back to wrap up the show.
Only Pizza Hut lets you surround your favorite pizza with greatness. The one and only stuffed crust pizza tempts your taste buds with melted cheese stuffed inside that amazing crust. And at just $18.99 with one topping, the stuffed crust pizza is truly irresistible. So grab your slice of pizza perfection with cheesy goodness baked right into the crust. The stuffed crust pizza, just $18.99 with one topping. Only at Pizza Hut, the island's best.
Don't need a work break, keep the smile on your face. The moments you can't replace, and I'll be around. Whoa. You can count on me. You can count on me for life.
Wherever life takes you, we're always here for you. Calvo's Insurance. Count on us for life.
Checking my vital sign, drawing my battle lines, going to war again. Feeling the rhythm inside of my chest, all I need is just a pen. I know I was born for this. I know I was born for this. I believe we can write our story. I believe we can be an army. We are the warriors who learn to love the pain. We come from different places, but have the same name. Cause we were born for this. We were born for this. We are the broken ones who chose to spark a flame. Watch as our fire rages. Our hearts are never tame. Cause we were born for this. We were born for this.
Let's see what's happening now around town.
Here's your News Bites with Jason Salas.
Very, very cool things to see, very, very cool things to do, and very, very cool things to take part of. And you know what? We know about cool here at KUM because our aircon works really, really well. We're cool all the time here. Speaking of cool, our friends at the Guam Medical City, Guam Regional Medical City, are hosting a cool 8th anniversary health fair on Saturday the 29th from 10 to 3 at the Micronesia Mall. It gives the public opportunities to interact with reps and specialists from their clinics, including the newest specialty, rheumatology. That's for those of you with gout, very, very important. It's open to the public and there will be games, giveaways, and demonstrations. Please make sure to check out. There's also be free blood pressure and BMI checks. Very, very important for our island community. Okay, gamers. There is a mobile game application development workshop for high schoolers. I am so stoked about this. I can't tell you. Mobile game application development workshop for participating students to understand the fundamentals of game design. Someone please port the old school Excite Bike back on a phone. I would mess up Daniel when it comes to that game, all right? It's for Android-based phones, so you can't do it on iOS, but really, really cool. It's going to happen on Monday, the 31st to Friday, August 11th at the Guam Community College. Check out starbaseguam.org if you want to build the next mobile game. The next Angry Birds could be you. All right, the next MMORPG, and we want to see that happen because we want that to happen right here in 671. And up in 670, our friends in Saipan, the Northern Marianas Coalition Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Violence is hosting the 2023 Advocacy Academy. Very, very important stuff on August 1st and 2nd at the Saipan World Resort. It's a conference covering topics such as basics of advocacy, confidentiality, and more. You want to register and make sure to participate for that. That is News Bites, everybody. Nick and Destiny are literally standing by, and they have more news right now.
It's birthday wishes time.
Here's your Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club shout-out submitted on KUAM.com.
Happy birthday on the 26th of July to Luis Blanco, friend to one and all. And Luis, today is your day, and you are to be celebrated. Happy birthday, man. Everybody, join me. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Luis.
Happy birthday, LB, and to everyone out there celebrating. That's your primetime show. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Nick Delgado.
And I'm Destiny Cruz. Stay beautiful and good night, Guam.